will be on our recording. And so since you heard my voice, I'll just add my welcome to Liz's and then pass it back to her.
Hi, everyone. As everyone is being admitted into our Power Hour, I just want to say a welcome. And please check the chat. The link for the sketchy form, the sign in, is there in the chat, as well as a link to today's slides. You can also get today's slides from the QR code there on the left-hand portion of the screen where it says today's slides. Our topic today, it's the second in our series of Power Hours. And today we are going to be talking about engaging your students' families through career exploration. We have a few people still joining, so we will get started shortly.
Great. So I have just let, I think, the last person in for now. And I will once again pop those introductory links into the chat. And Liz, you just let me know when you're ready to advance the slides.
All right, a final welcome to all, as Joan has gotten everyone admitted from the waiting room. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for registering. We welcome back those that might have been with us during our first Power Hour, and we welcome wholeheartedly those that are coming into today's session, which is engaging your students' families through career exploration. I am pleased to be here today with my colleague, Joan Hawkshurst. She's another one of our Career Connect career development consultants. Our role here is to identify and build systems that align and support all of career development efforts underway across our county. And one way we do this is through the development of professional learning opportunities like this Power Hour series. Throughout the Power Hour series, we are wrapping those around the elements of the Michigan Career Development Model. You might have known it was released, a new edition of the Michigan Career Development Model was released earlier this year. And if you look at the list of our monthly Power Hours that you see here on the screen, you'll see that we touch on specific MCDM learning targets each month. So if you attend all the Power Hours, you'll get ideas and resources to support your own implementation of the model. So here at Career Connect, we have designed a stair-step graphic that goes along with the Michigan Career Development Model, and you'll see our version and how it aligns to the targets within the model in a few minutes. But we wanted to create this graphic so it showed the developmental sequence of the specific grade band learning targets in the Michigan Career Development Model. And if you click on this graphic in the slide deck, you can get your own copy. So we're going to go a little bit more into these a little bit later, but I just wanted to share the graphic again quickly and give you that time to pull it up yourself if you'd like to. So without further ado, we're going to get into today's Power Hour, engaging your students' families through career exploration.
Sorry about that.
And Joan has the graphic back on the screen now, and we're getting into the title of our session today, the Engaging Your Students' Families Through Career Exploration. We want to just kind of go over the objectives so we have an idea of what we're going to be learning about today, which is identifying how family engagement fits with the Michigan Career Development Model, defining family engagement and exploring some of those higher impact practices and showing some strategies from the state of Michigan. And also examples here locally of some of the best practices that we've seen for family engagement. We also want to understand the benefits of engaging families in their career exploration and also become familiar with the various resources that we have available for everyone. So as we mentioned, Michigan Department of Education rolled out an updated version of the Michigan Career Development Model earlier this year. It was back in January, actually. And so we have been doing a lot of our research and resource building around the Michigan Career Development Model, which really looks to build a culture of career development within our schools. So as we mentioned earlier, we've organized the learning targets in this stair-step model. And you can see right at a glance there, from early childhood through high school, that family engagement piece is quite prevalent. It's there in early childhood, elementary, middle, and high school. You can also see that within the elementary, middle, and high school is where it's legislatively required, but it's also highly recommended at early childhood. And again, if you don't have the graphic, you can click on this and get your own copy.
Oops, which I did again.
So within the Michigan Career Development Model, the learning targets are listed. And what you can see here, we're not going to go into in-depth detail on each of the targets. We're just going to kind of focus on that family engagement. And so within the grade band levels, you'll see that in early childhood, the target mentions engage students and families to support career awareness. That is what we're doing at that very early stage, just an awareness piece. And then the elementary target mentions provide. So we're providing families with engagement opportunities to support career awareness. So learning about careers. Then as we move into the middle school targets, again, we have family engagement listed there as target number 4. And you'll see that the language there is to provide opportunities to support career exploration. So whereas in the early childhood and elementary, it indicated engaging and providing opportunities for career awareness, in the middle school, it shifts into exploration. Just a little bit of a tweak on the wording there. So we're moving from awareness to exploration. So more exploration type activities for students in that middle school grade, along with those family engaging activities. Then when we get into high school, again, we know the family engagement is listed there. As you can see, we kind of have the stair-step model there on the right. And the high school level is the last spot within that continuum of the stair-step, and within the learning targets, that the family engagement piece is legislatively required. So there it is, and it is providing. So the wording is providing opportunities to support career preparation. So again, we see a little bit of a shift in the wording from awareness to exploration and now preparation. So during our time today, we're going to be showing some examples of each of these family engagement activities, these target areas, and show some of those examples that kind of have that focus around not only career awareness, but also exploration and preparation.
Great. So why? My colleagues know that I'm all about the why. Why is it important to have families engage in students' career exploration? We wanted to take a few minutes to think about that. I mean, of course, it's important because it's included in the Michigan Career Development Model, but what are the reasons why family engagement in career exploration is included in the Family Development Model? The first and the biggest one is the influence that families have on their young people. So consistently, students rank their parents, their families at the top of their list as a main source of information for college and careers. And since we know that that's true, it's important that we make sure that families have accurate information about the breadth of career opportunities available to their students and that they understand the educational and training pathways for various careers. Recognizing that influence that families have, it's essential for us to engage families throughout pre-K all the way through graduation and beyond to make sure that they're up to date about career development topics. And even as you're providing information to these families so that they can continue to influence their young people, it's also important to recognize and to acknowledge that it's a two-way street, right? That family members themselves have knowledge to contribute about careers. So that's where the communication piece comes in, communicating with families so that you understand their needs and their expectations for their students. You might have parents reflect on and share their own career pathways in meetings and conversations to validate the knowledge that they're bringing to this conversation. Why else is it important to have families engage in students' career exploration? Well, we know that learners are more likely to persist when their families are engaged in their learning. So once family members have relevant knowledge about the range of career possibilities available to their learners, they can use this information to encourage and support their student in staying on their chosen pathway or support them in changing pathways when that might make sense for them. When I worked at the college level, one of the biggest fears of the students that I worked with was that their family would be disappointed or angry if they changed their career plans after they learned more about themselves and more about their interests and aptitudes. So think like changing from a pre-med degree to something that was perceived to be less prestigious or lucrative. So one of our jobs is to help families realize the importance of students on their self-awareness journey and really learning about their students' interests and aptitudes so they can truly be supportive of their learners. And finally, the third big why in this whole conversation is equity. We all know that some families have more access than others to social capital, to the networks of people that are in different careers. So while every family member brings their own experiences and learnings, those with broader exposure and connections can more easily guide and support their student. So, by making sure that all families have access to local employment data, like that State of Michigan Hot Jobs Regional Career Outlook that we share, and by creating learning opportunities that provide career connections to the broadest possible range of careers, we educators can help to level the playing field for students with smaller networks and less access. Okay, so we know that the state requires it, and we know that it's important for several reasons. Now, how do we do it? What we're going to talk about now for a few minutes is this My Family, Michigan's Family Engagement Framework that comes from the State Department of Education. One of the things to know about this document, with which if you click the My Family cover, you will get to the whole document and can access that yourself. But what I want to point to is where the yellow arrow is at the top left of the screen, which is where the state of Michigan defines family engagement. So what is family engagement? It's a collaborative relationship between families, educators, providers, and partners to support and improve the learning, development, and health of every learner. That sounds like a pretty broad and wide-ranging definition. So this document, the Michigan Family Engagement Framework, is really based around 5 principles, and you can see them in that circle on the right of the screen. And the 5 principles of family engagement, according to our State Department of Education, are that number one, relationships are key. So we need to make sure we're planning positive communication and building relationships with all families. Number two, we want to make sure that families are partners in this work by gathering and including their input as we plan and implement career experiences. Number three, we want to make sure that our efforts are purposeful, intentional, and outcome focused. One way to do this is to use family events to teach skills that they can then reinforce at home that have to do with getting ready to be employed. Um, Number four, we want to make sure that the efforts that we are engaging in are tailored to the needs of all families. And we're going to talk about how that we can remove barriers, doing things like offering interpreters and childcare. Maybe you might need to provide transportation, maybe laptops and internet, anything that will empower all families to participate in the opportunities that you are offering. And then finally, that positive piece again, making sure that the learning environments that all of our learners find themselves in are positive, so that families feel welcomed and engaged. And often we can do that by making sure that school personnel are visible at pickup time, at events, and are welcoming to all of the folks who are coming to be with us. So if you clicked on that link to get the whole document that I'm referring to, you'll see that there are a number of charts throughout it. And we're just going to look quickly at one or two of them so that you can see kind of the framework behind what the state is suggesting that we do. Um, and really, this document goes from early childhood through elementary and secondary levels, and it gives recommendations for how to turn activities, opportunities that you might already be offering that might be low impact, how to increase the impact through moderate and into higher impact on student learning and development. So we're going to take a closer look at some of the recommended strategies that are especially applicable for what we are focusing on, which is career exploration and preparation. And again, our goal is to move the things that we do from that low impact right side of the chart over to the high impact practices that you see on the left side of this. So here's one example. Um, Modeling, one higher impact practice that's recommended is modeling strategies, like I mentioned before. This one is from the early childhood strategies included in the framework, but it really applies at all levels, right? So maybe you are working on effective communication with your students, and you're focusing on how to greet someone and to make eye contact and to maybe even offer a handshake or a fist bump as you answer a question about your future plans, right? So you might be practicing that at home. What would it look like if you could offer an environment in which families could also see you working with young people around this, and that they could ask questions and then they could practice those same strategies with each other, and then go home with a tip sheet or a handout or something that's going to allow them to continue to practice some of the things that you're encouraging students to do. Here at KRESA, we've developed some of these tip sheets and resources that are ready to go for you to offer to families. As you can see on the screen here, we've got an elementary version. That's the shorter one-page version on the left. We've got a longer secondary version on the right. And these are questions that you can ask, that family members can ask of their students to practice getting in the habit of thinking about having steps along a plan and sharing that information, whether it's with college administrators, high school counselors, first-time employers, internship providers, whomever it is. This is one example of how families might take home something that they could then practice with their students by modeling the question and answer process for them. So there's a QR code on the right side of this screen that will allow you to access those Ready for Your Future question and answer sheets, as well as some other resources that we have created to support families as they in turn support their learners in their career exploration and development. If you're in one of KRESA's districts, you've got a career development consultant that you're probably already working with who can offer you access to these and other resources and support your work with families in your district. So the third piece that's in that folder that I just shared is actually, I want to talk about it for a minute because it helps you to see how um, we can ask families without computers, without any access. We're going to talk about getting into Xello and using the portal in a bit. But even without that access, the more that we can align the vocabulary and the concepts that we are talking about in school, that we're talking about with families, and that our students are accessing on Xello, the more consistent and universal that messaging about career exploration and development will be. So this is again a guide to Xello for families who aren't in the system yet, but who can learn about what Xello is all about, what the 6 career groups are, what the things that students in lower and higher grades are doing as they go along. So this is another resource that sort of reminds us the importance of sharing with families the language and concepts that you are using and that Xello is offering in the system. So some people ask, since we just showed that elementary Xello version, isn't it too early to be teaching about careers in elementary schools? And we just wanted to offer this suggestion for folks who might be thinking about receiving that question from family members at the elementary school level. And it's easy for us to sort of plant that seed that career exploration and awareness and planning in earlier grades really isn't meant to lock students into a path as much as it is to offer them wider, broader understanding of the variety of things that will be available for them. And as we know, they'll change their minds, but they do need a starting place, and that starting in elementary school is a way to give them that foundation for later. Here's another one of the higher impact practices from the Michigan Family Engagement Framework. And this is from the elementary level. What is being suggested is this idea that when there's a conference about a student's work, that conference be led by students so that families get the opportunity to have students show off their portfolios of work and have one-on-one conversations about what they're learning and how that connects to goals that they might have for the future. And here in KRESA, we've got several examples of places where educators are already doing this and inviting students and learners to show to their families and their friends how they are developing and thinking about their career future. So this unit is called Future Me, and it offers students the opportunity to think about 4 questions. What do I love? What am I good at? What can I get paid to do? And what does my community need? And the students then have those 4 questions that they can then talk about with their family members, and they can give their own specific answers when family members ask them. So here's some examples of families coming to see the portfolios and the young people having that opportunity to practice presentation skills, as well as to share with their families how they're growing and learning about things that matter to them in terms of their future. Another example of this opportunity to think about a future as a student was Parchment's kind of district-wide Future Me night, in which our colleagues in Parchment hosted an event where older students had the opportunity to present their thinking and learning about career paths to younger students and their families. I think we have one, maybe more of these higher impact practices, and this one is about starting planning, the secondary planning that students need to do earlier in their high school experience. So there's a higher impact if students by the end of ninth grade have done some of the things that you see bulleted here. Instead of focusing on 11th and 12th graders primarily, if we back that up and give our ninth and 10th graders opportunities to do things like visit colleges with their parents, start understanding PSATs and FAFSAs, and getting assistance to undocumented families or folks who, again, need help with translation. Um, it's the earlier that our secondary educators can start doing this work, the more likely it is that that stuff percolates to the families and that families have time to ask questions and learn and be as supportive as possible of their students. So here's a great example coming from Kalamazoo Central High School of an event for families in the evening, coordinated with the Kalamazoo Promise, that included both a FAFSA completion form and also promoting the different pathways that are available to high school graduates, and even ninth and 10th graders, including career and tech ed for 11th and 12th graders, college visits, and our colleagues in Career Exploration and Awareness hosted a booth that connected families to Xello. Um, since Kalamazoo hasn't yet launched the family portal, this was a way for families to get a little introduction in this evening event into what Xello is and what their students are doing. They were also piloting some fun VR equipment for career exploration. Um, so just one more slide to think about ways that we can be sure to be inclusive as we are starting to deepen our family engagement work around career development. It's critically important to recognize that different families have different strengths and face different barriers, right? So um, here are some examples of ways that we can think about making sure that all families are able to take part in engagement opportunities that you're providing. I'm going to guess that probably folks on this call have had opportunities to do similar things, to think about how to be intentional about being inclusive when doing family engagement. So if you're on the call and you have an example of something that you've done to make your family engagement efforts inclusive, we'd love to see that in the chat. So feel free to just type in a phrase or a sentence about what you've been doing, maybe the kinds of communication strategies that you use to work with families instead of for them. Maybe there's some ways that you have offered accessibility options that take care of barriers that are preventing some families from participating. Maybe you've gone to a community center or a house of worship or partnered with an organization where you know families are in order to reach out to them. So if anybody has anything they'd like to share in the chat at this time, we'll give it one more second for you to pop that in there. Um, and If not, we'll move on to an example that we have had the opportunity to enjoy, which is 12th Street Elementary in the Portage Public School District has done an amazing job of offering career exploration specifically for their families who have multilingual learners. And you can see in this set of photographs that a group of our KRESA Career Connect career champions um, did everything from make sure that there were welcome posters in the hall to offer the career fair poster in a way that made it says, come in, join us, be part of this. And tweaked family night that they were already planning to do because of their engagement in Career Champions to give it a career focus that would give family members an opportunity to learn alongside their learners about the 6 career zones and a variety of different pathways that their students might consider. Um, so you can see that they had a chance to learn about Xello again and that they brought in books and examples and kits and things that would get families talking to each other about different career paths for their students. So one of the things, as I mentioned, that they did that night was expose families to Xello, and I'm going to pass it over to Liz to dive deep into that piece of our work.
All right, thanks, Joan. That was a lot of great information in terms of that Michigan Education Family Engagement Framework. And some of you may have already been aware of that, and others perhaps not, but what a great resource to be able to pull some information into our school districts and mesh or marry that with all the other activities that you might already be doing. And as Joan mentioned, of course, Xello is the main platform, that web-based career and academic planning platform that we are providing to all of our school districts, K-12, all students, all staff, and actually all families have access to the Xello platform. And each account, as it's created in Xello, each account has its own dashboard and its own features for each of those levels of individuals, students, staff, and families to be able to use and peruse really for their own learning and benefit, and even especially in our schools, for some of that data mining that will help with some decision making in regards to what else do we need to do to help our young learners progress forward and have that solid plan as they graduate high school. Where are our gaps? What are we doing well? What are some things that we need to build up a little bit? And so Xello becomes a key partner in this in terms of the family portal. And we do have a number of schools that have rolled the family portal out in the last few years, and we'll show that in a minute in terms of the schools that are doing that. And it's available free for all schools to create those family portal accounts, those family Xello family accounts for each family member that is associated with the school district. It's those emails, in a sense, that are part of that student management system. And so with the Xello family portal, family members, once they activate their account, they're able to then view what their student is interested in and saving on their Xello account. For example, they can see not only the students' initial information, but the careers that they might be saving, some of the experiences that they've had, and other pieces of information, school, perhaps different training that they're looking for. And so when we encourage families to also utilize Xello, their portal, they can also do some of those same career exploration pieces, and then have that real live experience talk with their students that helps that conversation flow a little bit more quickly or more naturally at home. And so when a family member utilizes their family portal, they can then move across this the tabs on this screen. So you see it says About Student. This is for Sawyer, a made-up student from Xello. But About Student, their saved options, what their plans are, what their courses are that they're planning, any post-high school planning, etc. So you can see the different pieces of information, including some of the assessment results that student might have taken. So it's just a quick little snapshot of a portion of the student's dashboard in their Xello account, but there's quite a bit more information that the family member can see. And in some ways that schools might be utilizing this along with the family members is that maybe during a parent meeting, either the counselor or the teacher together with the parent can view the student's account and review what the saved information is. And perhaps the student has saved some careers of interest that then the family member might be able to help the student learn more about, or the school can know that that student is saving a particular career, say maybe in the building a career zone. And if they're hosting a Michigan Construction Career Day, would know then to make sure that that student is invited to attend that particular event. So there's different ways to look at that data and really slice up the individual person. for the student for those events. Also, something to remember for our schools is that with the promotion of the family portal in Xello, it's for family members to realize that there's a developmental process happening as students learn initially about their interests and personalities and learning styles, and that the list of both suggested careers for the student as well as saved careers will most likely change over time because it's a development. As they learn more about themselves, have more experiences, and mature, they will refine that list. So it's not a scary thing at the beginning when there's some interesting careers being saved. It's a process. And so students go through that process, that list will get refined. So for our school districts, how do we get this going? So with the Xello Family, as mentioned before, it's a free feature, but it does require some setup. So it's not automatically there. Well, it's you can see it on the navigation bar, but the accounts aren't automatically set up. But the setup process is very similar to how the student accounts are set up. The district IT person works with our Xello specialists to set up what is called a file transfer. And so that file transfer happens between the school's student management system and Xello, and the email of record, the family email of record, typically typically parents or guardians, one or two or more, are the emails of record that are used to process and develop those accounts. So it can also be done manually by adding a parent at a time. And some of our districts have started off that way, perhaps at a conference time or something, just to sort of soft launch it. But you can do that mass creation of accounts. And it's also important to note that even though the accounts are created, they are not active. They only become active once the school district activates them. So you could, right today or tomorrow even, talk with your IT to get that process started. Probably your IT and your career consultant to get the process started in regards to having those family accounts created through that file transfer. But then you can wait until a point when you're ready to actually activate those. So it is recommended when rolling out Xello Family, it is recommended that you promote the fact that that link is coming out, or that feature is going to be activated, so the parents understand that they're going to receive an email from Xello. So it's a welcome email, and the email contains a link to activate their account, and instruction in terms of creating their passwords, and those different types of things, very similar to when your educator account was set up, or the student's account is setting up. So here's some examples of a sample letter that can go out to parents, whether it goes out in a newsletter, or separately as a piece of mail, or part of a newsletter. And then in that middle section is the actual note or email that comes from Xello to the parent's inbox. And if you click on the letter, that will take you to a resource file that we've developed, that we've been building, Xello Family Resources, where you can download these examples and modify them for your use. So ways that ways that schools promote Xello Family prior to activating those links. Again, is those letters home, knowing that there's going to be that email example coming from Xello, or at perhaps parent-teacher conferences where the Xello platform is set up, and an educator or counselor can sit with a parent and show them some of that information right there during conferences. So we talked about the fact that we've got to get the accounts ready, and then you got to do some promotions. And then when it's time, when all that is done, then it's time to send the invite. And this is really a fairly simple process of a few clicks. So as the educator, and the Xello administrator, educator on the educator side, as you go into that dashboard and you click on families, then you can see there's a section of selecting. So you're going to select all, because you want to do that mass email out of the invitation. And then once you've selected all, you can send the invite. And so when you click send invite, then that is then when those parents are going to receive that email in their inbox with that activation link. You can also see on here just briefly where it says send message. So once parents have activated their account, this is another way to send messages to parents. And there's different ways to filter for a select group, maybe a selected grade level. And even though you already have other ways of communicating with parents, sometimes just one more way is helpful. So when we sent that invite, then what? Does it go into the abyss? Well, maybe, but not really. So what happens is once you have sent that invite and the parent has, or the family member has received their email, hopefully they do click on the activation link to activate their account. And once they've done that, then they then have the benefit of viewing their students' information, like we've mentioned before, and they'll be connected to all siblings within the same family will all be connected together to that one family account. So they can view any one of their students, whether they're at the middle school level or elementary or high school. So wherever that student is at in the school system, all of it will be available for the family member on the family account. But as an educator, you can, at a glance, see who's received the invite, whether or not maybe new families have come in, and so an invite hasn't been sent yet. There's also ways you can generate reports to see who has linked, who remembered to click on the activation link, because unfortunately, it expires within about a week's time frame, and so it does need to there does need to be an activation time, I guess, for parents. You can resend it easily to people, but if they haven't linked, you can run that report to see who hasn't linked, whether an invite has been sent or not, and also last access. So you have an idea of how much a parent might be, a family member might be using account to review information with their student. So one last report that you can get from Xello is the engagement report. So how well are families engaging on the Xello Family portal and looking at their student information, or perhaps even using it themselves. So this chart shows at a glance when engagements are happening. And if you click on the green round dot anywhere on the screen, anywhere you see those dots, that will lead you to another layer that shows the actual names of the families who are activating. So it gives you an idea that total logins and unique logins and the average number of logins of your families. And then, as mentioned earlier, we have several districts that have launched Xello Family already or are planning to in the near future. So we have 5. We have several of our six 6 of our school districts, 6 of our 9 districts that have it in place or planning to put it in place soon this year during their conferencing time to help families be connected in one and yet another way within the school system to have those engagement pieces with their students. Joan is going to give us some other ideas of examples of family engagement and career exploration.
Right. Thank you, Liz. We sort of made a Xello sandwich here, I guess, to show exciting pictures of things that are going on and also help you remember that the foundation of all of this work really can be this platform that's available to every K-12 student in the county. So a lot of the examples that we have covered and will cover have a Xello component in them. So we can't really help but highlight some of the exciting family-focused initiatives that are happening in our KRESA districts. But before we do, we need to give credit where it's due, right? So many of the examples that we've already seen today, as well as some of the ones we're about to share, were supported by KRESA's amazing team of career development consultants and coaches, whom you can see here on the screen. One of them is Lisa Smith, and we want to invite her to take a minute to introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her role with Career Connect.
Thanks, Joan. I am Lisa Smith, and I'm a career development consultant. My main focus area are Portage Public Schools and several of the alternative eds in our area. But one thing that I do for all of Kalamazoo County is this, it's a new role for me, but it is this family engagement piece. We're looking to increase the number of connections that we have with you and your district and your families to present, and you'll see some examples later, but things like getting out information about KRESA programming, after school supports, things like career coaching programs. How do we connect to different community events? Earlier, Joan mentioned having visibility in the community to help with that inclusivity. And that is one of the things that we want to increase this year. How can we get out into your communities and talk to families about opportunities, not just within K-12, but also in out of school time? So my contact information is there. I would love to talk to you guys about different opportunities you have, anything that you have been doing through the years, but also maybe some new initiatives. What can we do to create new opportunities for our families? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We're so grateful and lucky to have you as a colleague. So I'm looking forward to watching that work ramp up. So we're just going to show you partly because it's fun to see families engaging in career exploration and partly because we just wanted to acknowledge and recognize the amazing work that's already happening across our districts. One great family engagement event is hosting Lemonade Day. And this activity helps our young learners explore the steps of entrepreneurship through creating a lemonade stand and inviting their families to come and engage by purchasing lemonade and also seeing the amazing entrepreneurial growth that young people make when they're given opportunities like this. We wanted to highlight the value of making career games for families to use as they explore with their young people. So these are some pictures of a summer event that happens in Bronson Park through the Kalamazoo Youth Development Network. Every day they host a National Day of Summer Learning, and we are often there, and we take our Jenga. That's every block has a career question on it. So as each student pulls out a block to play the game, they are invited to reflect on a question about who they are or what careers they might be interested in or what some skills are or some local opportunities are that they might want to consider. We also bring along our ring toss game where students toss a ring and then are invited to answer a question based on the color that corresponds with it. And we bring our tic-tac-toe game where students get to play tic-tac-toe and consider the 6 career groups that are in Xello and all around them as we start to do exploration for young kids. So we managed to find some pretty fun rubber duckies representing a wide range of careers. And so those you see scattered around this picture as well. We know that you communicate with families, right? Through newsletters or blogs. So we're excited to showcase this example from Gull Lake Middle School, where you can see they've got a QR code that leads to a short video. They are in the process of creating a year's worth of content, right? Monthly topics, with corresponding videos that they can include in their monthly newsletter in this sweet career corner, where families will always be able to know that they can learn and ask questions and get more information about the kind of career engagement opportunities that their young people are having at school. Um, You'll want to ensure as you start to think about this that you are providing these things in all of the languages that your families use to communicate. And this is something that really could be expanded to go from pre-K through 12th grade. Just as you think about in folding in career information into all of the ways you're already communicating with students. So it might be this idea of a monthly newsletter. It might be blogs. It might be texts that you send to families. It might be in your social media presence where you make an effort to include some of that Xello vocabulary maybe that we looked at earlier, or upcoming events that families could attend in order to learn about the breadth of career possibilities in our community. Maybe you have a family page on your website, and that might be a great place to start deepening the exposure to information, articles, photographs, upcoming events that are specifically about career exploration and preparation. And you might even start to share other websites and other pieces of information through your social media, through texts, emails, Facebook, whatever options you are using. We also wanted to point out that a huge opportunity for families to learn about the career exploration and preparation opportunities available in our community is by coming to the Career Connect open house. We are excited to note that this past year, when we were at the Air Zoo, along with all of the career and tech ed instructors and programs and pathways, and all of the career awareness and exploration opportunities, all of the many, many ways that KRESA Career Connect is supporting the growth and development of students. That Xello, people knew about Xello. It was the first year that we asked family members as they came up to our booth, and they were able to tell us, yeah, that's that career platform that my young person is using. So exciting to see that happen. We're also eager to show off our new Career Connect campus. And I believe that the next open house will allow families the opportunity to see inside this world-class cutting edge center that students have just started to use. With that, I'll pass it back to Liz.
All right, so thanks. And just a little hint of information that Career Connect Open House, I believe, is scheduled for February 2026. So keep your eyes peeled for that date and time. It's going to be in February, from what I understand. So from the different strategies that we've shared, some of those high impact activities, others that we've shown, we know that you've got some great things going on in your schools as well. And so I'd love to take a minute here and just share, please, in the chat. Type in what are some of those family engagement things that you are already doing in your districts. Maybe something sparked today in terms of an activity that's happening that you can move it up a notch, or perhaps there's something that you heard about today that you now want to implement. So would love to hear from you. Of course, we've listed some ideas here in terms of career games at Family Literacy Night, or any other type of event that you might have. There's there's the game of operation comes to mind, and certainly that can be a career game to sort of highlight the health field. information tables at parent-teacher conferences, having Xello set up on laptops in the lobby during pickup time or as parents are coming in and out of different events, including sporting events or performances. I've had luck when I at least project it up on the wall because it can be seen a little bit better than on a laptop. So would love to hear from you in the chat. What are some of those things that you've got going on? Don't be shy. You can
While we're
also open
waiting.
up your mic and let us know of some of those things. It's a great time to share and share alike so that we can learn from each other about some of the different pieces of ways that we are engaging our families. And if nothing has come to mind right now, it's no pressure. We don't want to put pressure on it. After all, it is the end of the day week and that. So without going, too much into it, want to make sure that that we bring this to a close on time for all to have the rest of their day and evening. But we do want to have some reminders. We want to make sure that you know what's coming next. As we've mentioned at the beginning, we do have a power hour each month. We wrap that around the learning targets that are part of the Michigan Career Development Model. And our next power hour is looking at career development theory. And so theory can kind of sometimes be a little boring, but I promise we try to spice it up, or we do spice it up a little bit. And just want people to have that background of information in terms of similar to classroom and educational theories. There are career development theories, and there are a lot of them operating within our school systems already in a variety of ways. So we want to kind of draw attention to those so that you have that knowledge and can pull from those foundations as you're creating that culture of career development. So just want to make sure that you know what's coming and can sign up for that. And if you already registered or didn't happen to click on this one, you can go back to that registration link and register for this and any other future power hours. Also, we record each one, so you can always go back and listen as well. So I just want to make sure that you know that, and that we look forward to seeing everyone again in November and during Career Development Week, actually, for the next power hour. And we did have some people put some things in the chat. So Sean, she's here to get some ideas to use during career prep club sessions. Excellent. And Ken, student career engagement has been extensive, but I'm now taking ideas in this presentation to further engage parents and guardians. So yeah, that was our purpose, is to how do we reach out then? How do we reach out and bring our parents and guardians into the fold with us as we're developing that culture of career development in our schools. And Joan, did you have something?
Oh, I was just gonna let people know that that link in the bottom left corner where it says past power hours will take you to our YouTube channel, where there's a whole playlist from last month's and this one will be recorded and added to that playlist, but you can actually go back and see what power hours we offered last year, as well as the one, if you missed the one in September, that was sort of our kickoff. You can watch the recording to that there too.
Yep. And then as we close out today, we just want to thank you all again for your attendance today. Please pass the word. We hope that you have found it helpful and engaging, and have found some ideas that you can build upon within your schools. Please make sure that you sign out if you're here for sketchies, so that you receive those. There's mine and Joan's contact information there on the slide, and earlier we saw Lisa's contact information. So reach out if you have any questions about today or anything else that we might have talked about, or we talked about in a previous power hour that you'd like more information on, feel free, please, to reach out for that. And we'd love it, of course, if you'd register for future power hours. And with that, I think we're at the end. Joan?
Yeah, I'll just add my gratitude to yours, Liz, and to Lisa's, and thank you all for being here with us today. We learn a lot every time we do this, and we hope you do too. And we really hope to see you for the rest of the series once a month through the rest of the year. So thanks again for joining us. Feel free to tell folks that they can watch this on YouTube in a few days too. So have a great afternoon, all.
Bye, everyone.